Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Not Your Culture podcast. This is a very special one for me because, as you can see, I'm not in a boring office setting. I am home in Saint Lucia, and the stars aligned for my two guests and I to come here to do this today. I'd like to introduce Taribba do Nascimento. Did I pronounce that?
Yeah, I wave in y'all, I wave in there.
Yeah, are you even there?
I don't know.
And Fiona Compton.
Hello.
Tabby, as I call her so lovingly,
Uh-huh.
is an entrepreneur who runs Meme Bete Bags.
I do. Not even a way I introduce myself anymore, but I guess
So how would you introduce yourself, Tabby?
as a golfer.
Oh, it's true.
As a golfer.
It's
No, I'm teasing. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm just so far removed from Membed. I just don't feel like an entrepreneur as much as I used to, I guess. And especially going back in my career now, I'm more focused on, introducing myself as a project manager. But such is life. Life goes in waves. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm still me. The essence of me is still there.
And the essence is why we have you here.
Yes.
We get to share that essence
Yes.
with others.
I'm going to try to rein the essence in because I know the essence can be a bitch much sometimes, but
I gotta say, I have to keep it real.
sometimes keeping it real does go wrong. Yeah, I try to get cancelled. No matter what.
And my other guest is Fiona, who is the owner of New York Caribbean. She's a historian and artist. Is that how you would introduce yourself?
I find like historian, I feel still a little bit of imposter syndrome,
Uh-huh.
but I would say I call myself a cultural ambassador.
Cultural
So I think that encompasses all the many different things that I do. Because when you think historian, you think someone who just like gives lectures or is like a professor. And I do give lectures, but that's not all that I do. So I say cultural ambassador.
Okay. All right.
Stilt Walker.
But all of that coming under,
All right,
you
all
check
right.
it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
put that like when people have letters behind their name, like I'm Taribba, MBA, PMP.
Yeah.
SW.
Yes. Stilt Walker.
I will, I should
Yeah,
put it,
why
yes.
not?
I should put yes.
It's true. Now, y'all might notice that I'm talking my full Lucian accent today because when I'm in New York, I was young sometimes.
So embarrassing.
It is it's
So
very
embarrassing.
embarrassing because it's sometimes like with him switch, like if say he does like we on like a group call and like somebody American comes to say something to him or to talk to him
Mm-hmm.
and like when Johnny answers and he pronounces his R's
That's something I can never
and then like
respect.
I just like yo
I cannot.
check down.
Listen, you only lose your accent if you want to. There is not a soul alive that when I begin to speak in my professional voice and I speak clearly, there's not a soul alive who does not understand what I'm saying. I think there are ways that you can speak to people so that they can understand, and they have ways when I'm talking to y'all, when I have my mob, check it, and talk how I want to talk. I don't understand why Lucians in particular, and I think also we also have that non-regional
Yes, not
West Indian
yes.
accent that
like the
we,
newscasters read that.
yes, yeah, that we can use when we are outside and so people can understand us. But I mean, I am not just so. I was like, gonna look at you and say, Johnny, only for
Jonathan.
kicks. Only for kicks.
Yeah, I agree. I find it's just if you articulate yourself, because I mean, we have world leaders and our leaders of the country for the most part historically have never yanked and they've traveled across the
All
world
across the globe,
and
yeah.
have made international deals.
Fiona,
And they don't
wine.
He gas. Yes.
I always like to tea for wine from you, John.
And she will drink. So how you give me the one you drink from already?
Because she was taking the one that have more, of course. That's girl math.
Thank you.
Apologies. Yes. But yeah, in terms of, I just feel like you don't have people say, oh, if you're in the country, you start to pick up things. And I don't find because I was in England for 24 years and like, I cannot do a British accent at all. I do a very terrible one, but I cannot.
Want to try it?
Give me something to say.
Hello, love.
That's what the picture is. Give me something to say.
Say, when does the next train arrive at Paddington Station?
Okay, game face, hold up. Excuse me. When does the next train?
That's an accent?
no.
What the hell is that? All you're doing is you're talking soft. That's all you're doing.
He's giving you on the spot. Excuse me. When does the next train arrive?
I don't know what more embarrassing, yanking or not being able to yank. Mama, at least make an effort to whack.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
Maybe I'm just bad at it.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why I didn't do it, because I just can't do it.
It's true.
So they have a lot of Lucians up in the UK with bad British accent, and they care.
It's true.
They
It's
care.
true.
They talking how they want about the London. You know, go back and on the queue in the London. Mixing it with the Creole. You have, don't it? No.
This is going to be the most unserious episode.
Yes, we have
of
no.
all
What's the
time.
topic, Gasser? We just get talking.
Well,
He haven't introduced it yet.
That's
we were
true.
doing
Okay.
introductions,
Well-
and I think we did a good job because now everybody knows
Yes.
who you are.
Understand our
That's
rapport.
true.
You know. But what I wanted to ask you, the reason why both of you are here, and the reason, the entire theme of the entire podcast is we are talking about culture shock and the experience as an immigrant,
Expat.
or an expat. So have you learned what was the definition again?
The definition is that an expat tends to move to another country primarily for work, and it could be temporarily. However, an expat can still relinquish their citizenship from their home country for a new country. And the definition specifically stated that expat is usually related to socioeconomic status. So by definition, there already is a bias towards what an expat is over an immigration, as says Google.
No, but
Okay.
hear that. It says someone who relocates for work.
Yeah.
But isn't that what every
No,
immigrant does?
temporarily. Temporarily.
Okay, but
But the people we call an expats there for 50.
these have been there forever.
Precisely.
And they don't move back.
And that is what they said, that you can still be considered an expat if you relinquish your citizenship. So if you come here from England, you relinquish your British citizenship.
You're still an
can
expat.
yeah, but it made sure it mentioned that there is a certain level of socioeconomic status tied to the expat terminology.
Yes.
Because, the thing as well is when you look at the people who are called expats are usually in countries where we assume that there is less. Okay, so
Yes.
you'll find you will be
Yes.
considered an expat if you move to Mexico, if you move to Saint Lucia,
Yeah.
right? Because we make the assumption that you have come from more and you have already, and you can come here and loft, or you come with a certain level of privilege and you can post.
Or you have a very high paying
Yes.
job.
But-
yes.
but now-
you have a certain skill that nobody else
Nobody
in the
else
country
has,
have, and
yeah.
you're special. Yeah.
Yeah.
But be mindful, these days we have the Asian population is growing a lot in Saint Lucia, and we have never called any Asian person an expat. in Saint
Expats.
Lucia.
It's
They're
only
all
whites.
white people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All white people. We have lots of Indian people as well. Then don't call. Have we ever called a Syrian an expat? No, never. It's literally only
No.
the white people.
No.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's
That's also what they call themselves, though.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
you would not really find a Syrian
so
calling
we need to
himself an
we
expat.
need to claim the identity
Mhm.
of I'm an expat in New York.
Yeah.
yes, because it's my friend from Grenada. She's like, why do I? Because I said, some yeah, there's an expat. She's expat, white immigrant. That's what she insists on calling him. She says, why can't I be an expat? I relocated her for work. She moved from Grenada to Cuba to Wales specifically to work as a doctor temporarily. So does that not
course
quantify
she's
as
an
an
expat,
expat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she ticks all the socio-economic status boxes in terms of having a skill that maybe is lacking or needed, and being a doctor and stuff. It's not like she came and she's working like retail or something, So yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you both. The reason why both of you are here on the conversation of immigration and being an expat and all that is you have both at some point in your life moved out of beautiful Saint Lucia, your home country, to live somewhere else. Now, Fiona, you were in England for a very long time and recently moved back home. And Tabby, you've been to many places.
A couple, yeah.
So where have you been, Tabby?
So at 17, I went to Guatemala. I was there for a year. And then I went to university in Canada. And when I left Canada, I went to Ethiopia and I was there for several years. After Ethiopia, I moved back to Saint Lucia for a spell, and now I'm in Virginia.
Okay.
So a lot of shuffling around.
Say that again.
I said, what, the whole thing?
Guatemala,
Canada, Ethiopia,
Ethiopia,
Saint Lucia,
Saint Lucia,
and now Virginia, now
Yeah.
the US.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any memories of like getting to one of these places your first few months and just being like, wait, what's going on here? Like, you know, any
I think I experience that everywhere I go for various reasons. Obviously, I go to Guatemala. I was much younger, and then there's a bit of a language barrier,
Mhm.
right? I went there to learn Spanish.
Mhm.
I'm young. I'm 17. I'm living with a family, a lovely family that was very keen on me getting to know the culture
Mhm.
and the country. So every weekend they would take me on a road trip to a different village and show me the different cultural things. It was a lovely family. I'm still in touch with my host sisters. So that was one challenge, going to school, learning Spanish. And also that would have been my first experience with racism,
Mhm.
right? Obviously you live in St. Lucia, you're not going to experience your classism, you experience your colorism, but you're not going to experience, well, we can from the expat community. But generally, you're not going to experience racism living in St. Lucia. But Guatemala would have been the first time. And regardless of whether or not I knew it was racism, you found that it was very ineffective because I have not been, what's the word I'm looking for?
You don't.
I don't know.
think you
I
have,
don't know racism.
Yeah, you don't have the. You don't have the trauma.
I
to
don't
trigger
have
you
no
in
to
some
trigger
way.
me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I say this all the time. I have not. I experienced racism once. And that was in New Jersey. I think that's what it was. I was going for a job interview in New Jersey, and I'm walking down the street trying to find a place, and these people were walking towards me, and then they walked like they left the sidewalk and they walked around the cars. And in my head, I'm saying like, what? And I dress how nice, you
And
know.
you, I'm
How
saying,
dare
the
you.
least menacing
And
black man.
I bet you, they were not even dressed as nice.
As nice as you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like in a residential kind of area. So they were going to the supermarket or something. And I thought it was so. I wasn't offended because of the racism. I was offended because I thought I was looking very nice.
Yes.
And like, wow.
But that's the
They
thing
didn't
about
appreciate your niceness.
Like if I was dressed rough, I would be like, okay, I get it.
Did you get the job though?
No, that's a whole other story.
Okay.
I could. It wasn't what I expected it to be.
Oh, okay.
Okay, fine.
Is that the studio thing? And you waited for how long?
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Didn't the
yes.
cop come and like wait with you for a bit? That time they couldn't.
Yes,
Okay.
because I went into the police station to ask if they knew of where the place was,
yeah.
and they watched me like, no, I'm doing that. You know,
Yeah.
New Jersey is supposed to be a funny place, you know.
it is a funny place. I mean, I would say like majority of the U.S. is funny. It depends on what parts.
Yeah.
Because upstate New York is
And even
Long
and
Island.
even within states it's so different. So
Yeah.
where I'm in Virginia, Northern Virginia, it's diverse where I am, and other parts of Northern Virginia is not as diverse. But then worse if you go south when the flags start to change and everything.
Yes, I've heard that about Virginia.
Yeah,
It's
so
very.
wonder, man, are we in the same state? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about racism is sometimes it just happens and it takes a moment to
Yeah, to sink in.
download.
Like, did
wait
that
a minute,
happen?
wait, that was a racist, and it then it's too late to respond.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
wait, oh, that's
Yeah.
what was going on
Yeah,
there. It's
yeah.
very, very strange.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was usually my my friends in Guatemala were obviously Guatemalan people and fellow people on my exchange program who were white Europeans. And they were the ones pointing it out to me and coming to my defense faster than I could even recognize what was
For
going on.
yourself.
And I still remember my one friend, Francisca, and she probably does not remember that story at all. We were in a market. And by that time, I'm speaking fluent Spanish, right? And it's important to say that at that time, I don't know what Guatemala is right now. There were like 0 black people in the city, right? There is a coastal part where there are tons, but in the city, it was so few and far between. It reached a point where if I walked through the city and I saw my reflection, I'll get startled because I was, and this was before internet and phones and stuff, right? So
Girl, that's a big thing you just said there, you know?
yeah, but it was a different time. I'm not going to see them on TV, right? I don't have internet to see them there. So it's just my reflection. And then after a while, you take for granted what you see and then You know, it would start me in terms of like, who is that other black person to
Yeah,
look
of
behind to
course.
see.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a place where every time I saw a black person, we would stop each other and be like, what are you doing? Like, what, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes scream and hug. Um, so my one friend, Franciscan, she was German, and we were at the market trying to buy something. And at that time, I'm speaking fluent Spanish. You don't know that I'm not even Guatemalan. And I'm asking the lady for the price of things, and I'm touching things, and she's like pulling them from me. And like, she's like, don't touch my things, don't touch my things. And like, in my head, I'm thinking like, maybe she doesn't realize that, you know, that I'm trying to get the price. And
Yeah.
my white friend is the one who came and like pulled me and coughed the woman and said, nobody want to buy a stupid thing, like, you know, in Spanish equivalent. I said, let's go. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, don't you see that she didn't want you to touch her stuff? I was like, oh.
Yes, you just thought she
Never
was
crossed
being
my mind.
protective of her,
Never crossed
of
my
her
mind.
stock.
And then there was also a running joke. Every time I would walk, somebody would shout, "Oh, there goes my conscience," because I'm black. Like, that was like the big running joke, and people would heckle that out of the vehicle. And do you know how long it took me to figure out what the hell was going on?
That's what they were saying.
Yeah, it never crossed my mind like what it was. It was my my host sister who had to explain to me what it was. And then I was chased at school one day. Like, a bunch of kids would like chase, negra, 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 and they chased me down the street. Yeah, and it was my friend Roberto Hernandez, who's still my friend on Facebook. He was the one who like grabbed me and pulled me and turned around and shouted at the kids, "Blancos!" And I don't know what that was supposed to be. Well, we were young, right?
Yeah, 17
But even
is
for
young.
me, I didn't even feel any way when they were doing that, because I'm like, you know, black, I black, like, what the hell?
But I think that's because you grew up at home. And as you say, we don't experience
yeah,
that. Right?
racism isn't a trigger for me.
No, it's not a thing. So, you know, so therefore, one, we'd have a lack of awareness. And two, when it happens, it's not going to hit, because I always feel like we're very lucky. So, like, we're very different from Black British, Black Americans, or whatever, Black Europeans, because we have like our grounding. We know home is always there.
Always there.
Like, this, like, they don't have that.
Yeah.
So look at how, okay, guys, so we have our Lucian flag that we can wave proudly. We have certain
exactly.
things. Black Americans, when they're watching the flag, guys, so that's very triggering.
Yeah.
British is
Yeah.
very triggering. What do they have that that they know that's their anchor, that's home
Yeah.
self?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I didn't really touch you, because like, guys, or whatever, like, I have my home.
And I feel like the fact that you said you have your home, that is like a backbone for me in anything that I do. Because it's not a moving that I have done, and I'm always in a shit. Yeah, I doing my Meme Bete, then I tell it I doing PMP, I going back and work. Like, I'm always in a nonsense. But in my head, I always feel like, and so what if I fail, if I come back at my home? And I tell you this all the time when you speak about your friends struggling. The first thing I always say is, why did they go back at their home?
Yep.
Why? I don't understand, like, people who I guess don't think along those lines. And I feel like you can always come, even if all your family dead and you have nothing left in the islands, you can always come back and start from scratch, because that is your home.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? People will welcome you. And I think
Yeah.
that in and of itself makes you so strong that you feel that you can handle anything and try anything.
Yeah.
You made a point, as you said, because a lot of people be like, oh, my parents are dead, my grandparents are dead, I don't know it, but people will still know your family. People
yeah.
will still hold you
Oh,
for
yeah.
a certain level of endearment.
Exactly.
For being so-and-so son or so-and-so
Oh, yes.
daughter.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And then I find just being home, just even to add to your point, Taribba, like, why are we so willing to struggle in like big places like New York, London, like really tough cities, isolating cities, where you don't have that kind of community support? Is much harder to get, right? And then I think, I know why I'm kind of answering my question. I think it has to do with pride, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're going
100%.
foreign and you have to make money and you come back and you live in a dream. And it's like, it's very humbling to come back home, especially if you haven't made the dream
Yeah.
or made all the, the $1 million you said you was going to make in foreign, and come back and then to start again from scratch. It has a lot to do with pride. I think more so than if your family not there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. And I mean, it's ridiculous, because at the end of the day, we all trying to make it. There are people who stay in Saint Lucia and do really well, and there are people who stay here and they're struggling. And then they go overseas and they get new opportunities and they thrive. And the same way, you can be overseas and make it, reach the American dream or the British dream or whatever, or you could be up there and struggle and it just doesn't work out for you. But I just feel like life is, maybe because I've moved quite a bit. Like, for me, moving is like a non-issue. You go where the opportunities are, and if it doesn't work for you, move on to something else. I don't know, fruit trees in your yard, gassa, like take a little apartment, like, there's there's always things that you can do. And I feel like, as well as there are jobs that maybe may not be the best job for you, like if you're here and you're looking for work and you're not getting work, there's something that you could probably do, but you may choose not to because you're looking for
Something that's more
something that's
aligned
not
with your interests.
exactly.
And,
But I
yeah.
mean, everybody has to eat a bread, so if
Yeah.
that's what you have to do, And I say this to say because when they're overseas, they'll take any job,
Yeah.
and
I
they'll
was
do
about
anything.
to say that.
But then they'll come back here and they'll have all kind of pride and not want to do certain jobs, but then and stay there and complain about, Lucian's not ready yet. I hear them people do something else, Papa. But you can't just stay there and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Fiona, you, as I said earlier, you recently moved back home, and so how has that experience been for you?
Wonderful.
That transition.
It's not Taribba tell me move it because I was unhappy, and because I was unhappy in the UK for a long time.
Like the entire time.
Yeah.
Long
Oh,
time.
And you moved initially for school.
Yeah, for school, and then I said, let me stay and work,
Mhm.
and then you get a bad job, and then you realize, oh, it's only maybe a year into the job, you realize the job is trash, so you aspire for another one, and then you get it, and you stay, and I had my son, and my son was diagnosed with autism, and it's always the thing about foreign always give you a reason to stay.
Stay,
Yeah.
always.
Oh, there's another job you can apply for. Oh, there's another apartment you can get. But you haven't traveled to this to see this, and as if like
And the
moving-
government starting a new thing,
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you can get £500.
Yes.
If you just fill
some schemes, some
always
grants, some
scheme,
something, some
grant,
everything.
something.
And then you have the naysayers like, why you come so have so much crime? What you gonna do? You're not gonna be bored. And I'm like, okay, in London, I doesn't see nobody because London big.
Yeah.
Everybody cool,
Yeah.
and nobody want to go out unless
Yeah.
it's summertime.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
And it takes so much to plan anything too.
You have to plan everything.
Yeah.
I will here in Saint Lucia, I will see people in traffic, I'll see people in the supermarket. I will get my social interactions through minimal effort.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't require a whole bunch of, let's meet at 7:00 and make dinner reservations. And no, guys, you
Not
can just
even
pull up
clothes.
anywhere.
Not
Yeah.
even clothes. Come as you are.
Yeah.
Come as
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm just going to say my ugly Crocs I'm wearing that are off the camera right now. Please do not zoom into them.
Zoom
My
all the way, James. Thank you very much.
my foot has been like too freaking dashing this entire trip. And I went out to a nice dinner with my family. James, there's zooming. There's so and so. And then when I came and meet your grocery last night, I wanted to put my Crocs on,
Yeah.
Yes.
But I said, let me go with my nice slipper, with my nice dress I come from dinner. And I reached grocery, everybody had Crocs on, guys. And it reminded me that in Saint Lucia, you could be dressed as a zombie and you could have your heels on in the same venue. Having
nobody
the best
watching
time. And nobody
nothing.
cares.
Nobody watching
Nobody
nothing.
cares. Dress
Nobody
code is
not
an-
telling you
unless
anything
it's like
about-
a super uber fancy thing like a New Year's or something. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, guys, a dress code
Yeah.
is just a
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you can end up anywhere. Like that's the thing too. You never know where you're going to end up
Yes.
because it's so easy to go from place to place.
Yes.
You never go to the one thing. It'll be one into the next,
Yeah.
into the next,
Yeah.
or
Yep,
something.
Especially
Yep.
this time of year.
This time of year,
Yeah.
It's very easy. I remember there was this one time I link one of my partners to go by the food trucks because I had a scene to show him. And we reached by the food trucks. That's back when coconuts were still open. We reached by the food trucks. Then somebody else we knew ended up coming by the food trucks. So it's now the three of us.
Mhm.
Then a next person come there. And like the owner of the food truck now have a couple of beers there. So we all drinking.
Mhm.
And by the time we reach on our like fourth or fifth beer each, like we realized like, okay, we're here. It's a Tuesday night. Yeah, everybody at work next day.
Correct.
But then we realized, but wait, coconuts have two for Tuesdays. So all of us roll coconuts afterwards in our house clothes.
Yes.
Because we just came to pick up a little burger to eat there,
Yes.
whatever. But we're there in our house clothes drinking, and we link up with two other people who we know, and like just like that, 2:00 we get home 2:00 and wake up hungover the next day.
I just want to say, you spoke about you were in your house clothes and seeing that we're supposed to be talking about culture shock.
Uh-huh.
A big culture shock for me is how people can just wake up in their house and put on jeans to be in their house.
Who does that?
Who does that?
American people.
They just put on jeans in the house?
Yeah, you wake up and you put on jeans and you're in the house with jeans. Sometimes I go in by like the neighbor and they're just there in jeans and I say, hey, so you going out? No, I just change my clothes.
And you put on jeans in the house?
Jeans.
Yes, Gassa, like house clothes, like Let's
I
make
try
it
to
a
avoid
thing.
wearing jeans as much as possible.
I don't own a pair of long jeans,
I
like
went
by force.
I went through most of last year without wearing jeans, and then it started getting cold.
You know what we should do? We should really just like take like regular clothes and market it and call it house clothes. People eat that up, you know.
That's
For
a
sure.
nice house clothes.
Nice and just just
You
say
know, my
house
boyfriend
clothes.
did that for me.
What?
He said I was looking too much like a zombie in the house. So he said he bought me nice
Nice
house
house
clothes,
clothes?
like
Okay.
Zara at a sale. You know, it's like
Zara house. I've
A
never
Zara
wear that
house
in my house. You
clothes.
Zara
mad?
house clothes.
Man couldn't go Primark
No, it's like free
or
pants.
Rainbow.
Free pants.
Yeah, but it's still Zara.
No, but it's free pants. It's like, you know, but Zara have house clothes.
I don't know.
Zara
My house clothes are my clothes that get yak though.
Yes, but it was bad. Do you remember the time I sent you the picture?
I believe him. I've witnessed it, but what? One thing in the winter time, I buy them like matching sweater sets,
Mhm.
and that's what I wear in the house. I
Okay.
get them at Walmart, and so I looking like kind of cute. Yeah.
mhm.
But the summertime, it might be a little different. I might just be in yak clothes all day. For true. Yeah, but we do take the house clothes to another level here and make it yak. My house clothes not too bad up in the US though. Yeah, but we should make it a thing. That's a business idea, you know. Imagine if
Yes,
Beyonce
a
came out.
line.
Imagine if Beyonce
House
came out with a house
clothes.
clothes line. You know how
Yes,
much money Beyonce would make?
everybody
Beyonce
buy it.
house
Yes.
clothes.
Don't they have things like that, like sweats and because technically, like
Yeah, but they're not calling. It's all
They,
about marketing.
they just call it yoga pants.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
Like,
athleisure wear.
Yes.
They need to
athleisure
specifically
For the
market
house-
it as
for the
as
house,
house
clothes.
clothes.
House clothes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Is there jeans in the house?
all
Mm.
right. Fair
You need
enough.
to cut that part out of the podcast. I don't know about thief in my idea. All right? Yes, please.
It's true,
don't type
though.
it. Yeah,
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. She's
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
It's very true. It's very true. Fiona, you specifically, your work is, as you said, you're a cultural ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dot S. Dot W.
Dot-
Girl, I changed that today.
Mhm.
I got in my Gmail and added to the title.
Yep.
and you know, so your work kind of like revolves around culture.
Mm.
Being very conscious of your own culture and our culture as Caribbean people. Big up New York Caribbean. I'm sure you have seen a lot more things that are magnified in your experience in England.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to spot the differences, because when I started doing this kind of stuff and doing research, because I'm writing a book.
You know, you could have just rolled past that one, but you
Such a
highlighted it.
disgrace.
No, I want
Writing.
to catch it so I can when I'm looking over it again.
They have no
Writing.
D in writing.
I'm writing. See how it just flew off your tongue?
Writing,
Writing a book and
rescue.
everything. I've been a lot more conscious of you know, the differences in culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you recall any experiences that you really had to like? And it doesn't have to be anything big, but just, you know, you took a step back and I was like, that's different.
There have been, of course, many culture shock moments because I was in England for 24 years, right? I think the biggest culture shocks came when I just got there. I was 18, or just before I turned 18. Like Taribba, I spent a year in a Spanish-speaking country, Venezuela. That was the whole next thing. But then going to the UK, I was so desperate to find Caribbean culture.
Mhm.
And in my desperation, I found myself in like the oldest holes. Like going to the club on the wrong night. This is before internet was a
I
thing.
went with you once.
Right.
The basement things.
Yes. And it was like some
Yes.
hard techno, and like it feeling like the techno music is like demonic music because they're there in a trance. And like, but I think I think it really pushed my career into like doing the Caribbean, the deficits of not seeing myself.
Mhm.
And I think the things that frustrated me most is the caricatures of Caribbean culture that happen in London.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like second and third generation
Mhm.
or people of Caribbean heritage who have spent very little or no time at home,
Mhm.
and then they create this very Jamaican centric version of them, variation of the culture. And I'm like, yo, you from Montserrat, why are you talking like, or like your parents are from Antigua and Barbados, why are you doing this all this Jamaican kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so I think it was that was tough for me. So things like going to Carnival, like Notting Hill Carnival was one of the biggest culture shocks. So for example, okay, if I go into an English pub and it's all these white men and they have a certain thing, okay, that's their space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I should not really have an entire full-on culture shock for something that is, I'm entering their space, that is their culture, that's what it is.
Yeah.
The biggest one for me was this bastardization of our own culture. I think I said that's not carnival.
Yeah.
Why y'all playing this music? Why y'all doing that? Why y'all talking like that?
Yeah.
This is no, like they would say things like, for example, the other day I was asked to respond to some questions about a cultural project speaking about history of carnival in the UK, and a man gave me a series of questions. Tell me who about getting the best grind in carnival. Why do you eat? Why do we love to eat fried dumpling and cornmeal porridge before carnival? And like a whole bunch of, you see how your
Yeah,
face looking
yeah.
confused,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, why
Is that
do
even a thing somewhere that we
I
are
don't?
unaware of?
It's a thing Jamaicans eat for breakfast. It's a heavy breakfast to line your belly,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, but this don't have nothing to do with what I
Carnival
know
culture
carnival to
itself,
be,
yeah.
right? Or people like, you know, people getting dressed wearing fishnet vests, and they have the vuvuzelas and the whistles, and they're saying that they're tweeting, I'm gonna have some jerk chicken and rice and peas because it's carnival time or carny, right? I'm like, yo,
Yeah,
Carney.
he said a carny
yeah,
thing,
the
Yeah.
I'm not
carny
gonna
thing.
lie.
So it I think that was the biggest. That has been one of the hardest things.
That's fascinating. Being culture shocked by your
Your
own.
Your own,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. That's
No,
true.
I had a very similar experience at NYU with the CSC, the Caribbean Students Association, and it was very fascinating because I used to go to their fets. Now, one thing, NYU CSC had a big budget, so I remember one year they had Idonia.
Eh, wow.
I feel like they had Conscience once.
Mama.
For a
you know?
university.
Yeah,
Ma'am.
yeah.
I'll tell you about my experience creating the Afro Caribbean Society in my university after you finish your story.
Yeah, so
Very.
and I remember I used to go to the feds, and it was just like the music was old. It was like we
You may
played.
appreciate it now at this age, though.
Yeah, no, well, no. When I say it was
Define
old,
old.
when I say old, I mean like the soca that they were playing was 3 years ago soca, not this year soca, not last year soca.
Okay.
Yeah, but
okay.
Alright.
you appreciate that at this big age when they start playing 10-year-old soca and then you get excited. I think that's
Yes.
No,
that's
but
a young people
no,
thing.
but 10-year-old soca is fine because you haven't heard it in a in a
Mm.
long time.
Uh-huh.
3 years old makes you
3
feel
years
like you
is
don't know what
like-
you're doing.
Exactly. There's a time
A
frame.
time frame.
Mm.
Okay,
You
okay.
know, so 10-year-old is fine because that's oh boy, songwriter that song, whatever. 3-year-old soca is like I heard that enough already, and I tired of it already.
Okay.
I don't want to hear that right now. Like I don't need to hear the city go burn down, we jamming still. At this point, you know what I mean? Because I heard that so much whenever that it probably came out much longer than that.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's still they play that so much.
Mm.
Anyway,
It's like Savannah Grass.
yeah,
Give it a little
yeah,
rest.
yeah,
Savannah Grass.
Yeah.
Hello.
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Give them a
hello.
little
Yeah, they
rest.
kill that one.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
kill it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, no offense to Kes, I love Kes, but yeah,
No, we just don't love the overuse.
yeah. But yeah, so like they played, it was old songs, and then it was also, what was weird for me, and I don't know if it's a generational thing. I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's like a second gen, third gen kind of thing, and a mix with American culture. But like, so few people were dancing, but majority of people had their phones up recording the people that were dancing and
Hmm.
hyping them up. So it's like, for me, it's like you're supposed to be enjoying. Everybody's supposed to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
But you'll have one or two people who actually like come there to have a good time,
Mhm.
and then a little grind going on, and everybody.
I think that's
Yeah.
a generational thing.
You-
And then
you
they're going to
know-
post and say, like, the party was a movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How many
Yeah, yeah,
times
yeah.
we go out and we see the girl not doing nothing the whole night, just stand up there, stoosh.
Yeah.
And then you go her watch her stories afterwards talking about there's lit and stuff
Yes,
like that.
yes,
I don't know.
yes.
I don't know
yes.
how
it's
people
very
party
interesting
anymore.
to see that. But,
But-
you know
but-
what I found funny? Okay, just to add to that, your frustration, like, okay, they're watching, and it's like it's a big thing,
Yeah.
right? And so therefore, you're talking about there's a gap,
Yeah.
right? As if they cannot fully engage in
Yeah.
it. They're there, but they're
mhm.
not fully engaged in.
Yeah.
With Notting Hill, one of my frustrations is, which is even another thing, you see a lot of young black boys and be a hot day because it's summertime, it's in the peak of summer, and they'll come there, they hoodie up, the puffer vest thing over the hoodie,
Mhm.
and it have the Dominica flag like a thing hiding their face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Jamaicans would be Jamaicans because that's carnival is not their thing.
Yeah.
But you see Dominicans, like second, third generation, Dominicans, Lucians, Bajans, Antiguans, like all like the Bacchanal Islands,
Yeah.
and their children just there, like being like watching all of the bands pass, but being all menacing.
Yeah.
And I get vexed. I come and say, "Oh, I remember I went to this one young man and I said to him, I say, "Oi," and like I put his hoodie down, I pull the flag. I say, "Gasa, why you covering your face?" I say, "You're beautiful." I say, "Why you wearing all of these clothes?" I said, "Today is the day for us. We taking over a part of London that was ours, that is now so super gentrified that we have been priced out of this. And this is now the time when all of these white people have taken over our neighborhood, and now they have to stand still and marvel at us. Why are you hiding yourself?" I say, "Gasa, come and take a wine, come and enjoy yourself." And all his friends say, "Oh, come on, yeah." Come. And like,
Oh my
and like,
See, that was good.
That was good. That was good. That was a good one. Yeah.
but he was so embarrassed. And I'm like, "Gasa, celebrate yourself.
Yeah.
Gasa, pull up in your shorts and your shirt. And why are you covering yourself?" And it made me really sad. Like, they want to connect. Like, you could see, like, their heart pulling. So them same people who there with the phones, yeah, like hyping up a small wine, right?
Yeah.
It is because they connect to something that I think they spiritually connect to something,
Mhm.
or like emotionally connect to something that culturally and mentally they do not know how to fully engage in.
There's a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
I wonder why it is. Do you think it's in upbringing? Like, what are the
I think
parents
it-
teaching
I
these
think it-
kids? I have to wonder about
I
that
think
as
it is
well.
upbringing, and you have this. I spoke about this in another episode. You have this like time capsule,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, and your connection to the culture is what your parents. It's your parents' connection, and it's also what your parents show you.
Show
about,
you, yes,
from their
yes,
connection.
yeah.
So like you have a different levels of dilution
Mhm.
happening. And so it's like some of them might know the music, you know, and they've like seen the things, but at the same time, because they haven't been in the actual context of the thing,
They just
it's
voyeurs.
it would be unnatural
Yeah,
to
yeah.
engage the way that, you know, you grew up in Saint Lucia and you're going to parties and having a good time all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, oh yeah, I know what the thing is supposed to look like, but I'm not comfortable enough to engage in a way where it's like it will be natural for me.
Let me
guess.
tell you,
Normalize
I
whining.
Normalize whining.
normalize
Sure.
whining. But it's more than that because I really try so hard with my children. Now, granted, they spent a little bit of their time in St. Lucia before we migrated. My daughter in particular, I always say, is thoroughly American and just jumped on that Americanism from like day one. But I really do try hard to keep a thread going with them in terms of reminding them of things that we used to do and the foods that I cook. At the end of the day, what can I cook is not just Caribbean food. That's what I know. Of course, I can do other things, but the main food I know how to cook and what I cook best is my Caribbean food.
Yeah.
On the flight, my flight was delayed. And then some Lucian was on the plane shouting the entire time that she want backs. Who have backs on the plane? She want backs. You know how Lucians are already. Right? And I'm hearing Mahogany giving the joke to somebody else in the house about, and the lady was, oh, she wanted backs. And somebody said, what's backs? It's chicken backs. She wanted stewed chicken backs. And I felt really good.
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, as menial as this is, I feel like I am doing
No, it's a big
something
deal.
right
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she got
She
it.
got it, yeah.
She may not have found it funny. It was,
Yeah.
the lady was thoroughly annoying, but she got it.
Yeah.
But you know, it really does start from home. And the
Yeah.
one thing they always say is, I think food is the easiest way to pass your culture down to a generation. Everybody has to eat.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my Creole is not strong enough for me to pass it down to my kids. But a few little words here and there, make sure they know the songs. Tell them the different things that I used to do. The little, like, core memory, being chased by the T-Jabs, I remind them every Christmas because I don't want that memory to fade
Yeah.
of that, you
Yeah.
know? But so that in the event that maybe one day they might have some, euphoric moment or and decide that they want to truly connect, that they have something. Because it may be difficult because there are those West Indian people who leave and want nothing to do with their island. They exist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you think of my aunt, she's like, attitude was so British.
Yes.
You know, she
yes.
was so
like
British.
More British than British.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there are these people and who and maybe the uber religious ones as well probably look down on carnival, look down on certain
Yeah.
things, so they don't instill that in their kids, right? But then, there's a point when the kids
There
may,
are also some people who had just a very bad time.
yeah,
growing
a
up.
lot of
I
trauma.
was coming
and,
to
and
say
that's-
that.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
coming
and
to
then
say
rightfully
that.
so, you want to disconnect from all of it,
Yeah.
right? But then, it's certain things you cannot erase.
Yeah.
You know what? If it's in your DNA, you cannot erase it. So I want that if ever it came to a point where my kids just decided that they really wanted to connect, that like they felt something. And even I look at my cousins who raised their kids in the US, like primarily. And I mean, we all took the children to Baltimore Carnival, and these kids had a blast. And these kids didn't spend time in Saint Lucia. Some of them, I think,
I
were
remember you were
Trini
telling
as
us
well.
about that,
You
yeah.
know, they did not, but they were like all into it. And I'm like, these kids were raised to understand, like, this is also yours.
Yeah.
They'll have their birthday party, 1 turn 16. They played the soca music, they played the trap music. They are still American, but they understand the two. And I think that's
That's
a
the
beautiful
thing.
thing,
That's
and
the
a privilege
thing.
as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A privilege to be able to seamlessly move between those two spheres. You understand? So
On the soca music and the trap music, what I was getting to
Mm.
is when everybody was recording during the soca music, the whole place mashed up when the trap music started playing.
everybody stopped.
And I was very upset.
Uh-huh.
No, everybody started getting lit when the trap
Right.
music.
Oh, the people who were recording started
Dancing and
Yes.
doing that thing to the
Ah.
trap
and that is
music.
what upset me the most. I don't have anything against
Oh,
trap
because
music.
no,
but
it's
like if
because
I'm
it was
going
a
to-
West Indian
If
party.
I'm going to a West Indian
Mm.
event and you're having more fun,
Yeah, I
or
totally
Caribbean
get
event,
that.
you're having more fun with the American. I can hear that anywhere else. You
I
can hear
mean,
that
that's a
anywhere
bit,
Yes.
that's a
else.
bit ridiculous to feel
Oh.
like you can't. I feel like the movements are like, if you can move to trap music, you can move to soca music if you feel in a kind of way about dancing.
Yeah.
I'm not
It
talking
was
about
just-
whining, eh?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the
Just
beat and
doing
the
a little
movement,
something,
a little
yes.
something. Yeah.
No, but the weight felt more like, oh yeah, I'm hearing this stuff that I came to
Yeah.
hear. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Oh, like finally.
Yeah, like finally,
No,
like
Yes.
like that kind of thing. And it was
Yes.
just very
Yes.
fascinating to see that because I'm like, you can hear that anywhere else. You can hear that
On any
anywhere
day,
else.
Or
on
my children,
any given
my
day.
children hate trap music. They call it American music. And they have the one or two songs that I like. Like when I
Yeah.
hate, I want to blast it.
It's the
Mahogany.
Yakis ones you like. You like, I don't
Yes,
get it.
yes, no
Yes.
shame. I don't know how to dance, but lean. You can get a bitch, put your hands in the knees. Oh, that's a top song, that's a top song. How you mean?
Next you're going to tell me like Sexy Red. You say, what's it, Pound Town?
What's
Yeah.
that? I don't even know. what
Cool,
that
you know
is.
Pound Town?
No, I
Pound
don't know
Town
what
was like one of the
Pound
biggest
Town,
songs this
pass
year.
around town, my pussy pink, my booty hole brown.
What's
wanna
that?
get my-
Cardi B and
No, Sexy Red.
Sexy Red. I want to get my coochie stretched, but the niggas
Oh
had
my
too many
goodness.
bitches
Who's
in there.
touching my
I'm
pills?
paraphrasing.
I don't know. I'll listen to it
Girl,
and
my
see.
pussy pink, my booty hole
Listen,
brown. You know
listen,
about
I
that,
don't
man.
go and look for trap music. So if it's not on
That's how
the,
you see
That would have
Sexy
been
Red
on the
if
videos
it's
radio.
not
already.
on the radio, I
It would have been on the
it.
radio.
Yeah,
It
even
would have
with
been
them
there.
kind of lyrics. The
I mean, it
know,
would have
they
been
think it's-
censored.
how you
but
censor every other word was a
no, but it was a big tune.
Okay.
It was a big
Yeah,
tune.
it's a big tune. Yeah, big
Yeah.
tune.
Yeah.
But in terms of looking at how that in terms of the culture. So, for example, I took my son to Festival of Lights,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was very underwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
okay? But he had barbecue sausage and a float.
Yes.
And I'm like, I want him to have that little memory,
Yeah.
right? See the very mediocre lights being lit up.
But you know what?
And
First of all, Festival of Lights has always been underwhelming.
but
But you were little,
yes,
so you didn't know any better.
Exactly.
And you never went to America at Christmas time to see
To say-
significantly more lights.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
was all you had, and it was amazing. All you wanted was a match bomb,
It's
Yes.
true.
and a
Yes.
It's
little
true.
all I
plastic toy that's
Even
going to break
going-
the next
yes.
day.
I'll
Yes.
yo-yo that light in
people
the
A little
busting
yo-yo.
and it's
That's all you
match
wanted.
bombs.
Yeah.
And it was, yes, we had our barbecue sausage and a float, and then we watched the lights turn on,
Yes.
and we watched two performers, and then we went home.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, Gasa, you get your culture fixed.
Yeah.
And to go on about your proud moment,
Mhm.
the other day, when we were by Elena's,
Mm-hmm.
and we say, when I say just now,
Mhm.
he said, when a Caribbean person says just now, it could be anytime between 2 minutes or 1/4 of your life. And I felt very proud. I was so proud. I'm like, yes,
He's
you
getting
get
it. He's getting
That just
it.
now could be
He's
anything.
getting it. That's
And
all
he
you
said it
can
with
ask for
most
now.
British
Yeah.
accent, of course.
That's
right?
all you can ask for now
And
from
I'm
these
like,
kids,
yes,
this
Gasa,
understanding.
yes,
Yeah,
get it.
that's what you want from them. Just
Yep.
this level of understanding.
The
you
cultural
know?
nuances, not
Yeah.
the very obvious
Yeah.
big whining or all of the
Just the simple
things that we see like
Yes.
that are that are understandable in via our phones. It's the cultural nuances
Yes.
we
Yeah.
really want them to understand so that they can feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you can be, not everybody is whining a soca fit,
Yeah.
No, not everybody.
right?
Yeah.
But they can be quite content, quite happy. But you can tell the difference between someone who's uncomfortable
Yeah.
with the music and someone who's just content, just
Yeah.
chilling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what we want for our children, to be able
Exactly.
to do the both.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of time we find these second and third generations be doing too much.
Yeah.
And it has been whining, there's been
Overcompensating.
whining half a bit off the Caribbeans.
That's what, let me tell you something. At one time,
Are we going to talk about this word?
We
which
can
would
talk
wine
about
in with a D or
Caribbeans.
without a D?
The Caribbeans.
Oh God, no, that's not good. That's just, we need a whole separate podcast for that. But
Okay.
let's collectively just know we
Awesome.
hate it. I
Yeah.
think
The
that's
term
yeah.
Caribbeans.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story. So I went to in Toronto, it's very West Indian as well, but the same kind of thing, very predominantly Jamaican. You find a lot of second generation West Indian people putting on Jamaican accents when they want to prove their West Indian authenticity.
Well,
Which
and
is
you
a
have the
bit
term
ridiculous.
Jaffican.
Right? Yeah. And a lot of black Toronto culture for me is very Jamaican in the slang and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there was this big fete that they still have it now. And I went many years ago when I was at university. Redemption, it was called. So it's like a reggae fete. Very good fete. I actually went recently, like 4 years ago, and it was just as good as I remembered at university like 15 years ago. And I went with my friend's cousin who had just come from Jamaica. And they were in the fete, and the DJ played the Jamaican national anthem. And the place went in an uproar, scream, and the guy who just came from Jamaica just stood up there dumbfounded. It's like, what the hell is going on? First of all, it's disrespectful.
Yes, you're supposed
to stand at attention when the anthem comes on. Like, and he's like, why are people screaming? Like, he could not understand what was happening. But it's the same thing, because these second generation people they're overcompensating for the fact that they probably know the song. Maybe a parent taught them, so they get excited, and it's a lot. And you find out a lot in the defense as well. I remember telling a girl one
You
time.
have no context.
Yeah, I remember telling a girl one time, jerk chicken not really my favorite, And the girl was like, "You're just insulting my whole island." And I'm like, if you think your whole island can be reduced to jerk chicken, you need to wheel and come again.
Let me ask you a question. How old were you when you had jerk chicken for the first time?
How old was I? At
The man by Happy Day, the Jamaican man.
the guy that owned Shamrock, he that used to have jerk pit.
Jerk pit,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And remember he was by Happy Day for the longest while?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yeah.
How we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Later teens. Like we were approaching
'cause
17,
that's not
18.
something that we grew up eating.
That's not something, so it was never a staple. So I don't know why people like jerk chicken has to be this like a parent staple from across the Caribbean.
But
it's not.
That also comes from people. Okay, when you think of how we were taught at school as well, not every island had the same education where they had to learn about other islands.
Yeah.
So there are certain islands, I find a lot of the Jamaican people I know nothing about Saint Lucian.
Correct.
Even to the point where they need to keep asking me, where are you from again? Where are you from again? Where are you from again? Whereas we needed to learn the capitals of every island. That was common entrance question.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
We needed to know national dish.
Yes.
They taught us how to make oil down at school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
At F&N.
Yes.
Like we knew
yes,
all of these things.
Yes. Cuckoo and flying fish,
Exactly.
Barbados, all them things.
So
yes.
if you, first of all, second generation, don't have that context and don't have that education, right? You are going to be insulted, because I don't like jerk chicken, because that's probably one of the most Jamaican thing that you can think of. And you also
Accessible
you also don't understand and respect that I have my own foods
Yeah.
that I would prefer. Like everybody else in the world is entitled to prefer the food of your country where you're from, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I never
Yes.
forget. I met a Cuban lady who told me how much she hated Saint Lucian food.
Mm.
And she's like, your food makes no sense. Sugar and chicken, y'all need to understand either the food is savory or the food is sweet. You're just mixing things together. And she said that, and it made so much sense to me.
I
And I
like
still
I
remember.
can't even get vexed with them.
I still remember the first time I cooked stewed chicken for Fidel, my husband, who's Angolan. And he said, sugar and chicken. And he was so disgusted. And now when he eats that, like cleaning the bone,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
you have to respect that people are not going to like what you used to.
Yes,
Yeah.
and especially as a Cuban woman, breaking it down, when you think about Cuban cuisine, I can't even get vexed.
Yeah.
I can't even get vexed.
Yep.
But I mean, it's as you said, cuisine is like very, very important, and jerk chicken is everywhere. It's also
Yeah.
down to access, eh?
Yeah.
And a lot of them would
Yeah.
just gravitate towards the easy
Yeah.
most easily accessible to them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it gets diluted when it goes over
Yeah.
to other place. It's also because the Jamaican population elsewhere is just so large,
Mhm.
and
And very
people
vocal.
and very vocal. Jamaicans are very proud people.
Mhm.
You always know if somebody's Jamaican.
Mhm.
I think, well, most of us, yeah, but there are just so many of them.
Mhm.
Then and they have Bob Marley, they have Usain Bolt,
So many people.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Everyone knows where Jamaica is
Mhm.
because Jamaicans have been so successful, and
Mhm.
Caribbean cultural icons. There are so many of them who are Jamaican.
If I remember,
Um,
even the wealthiest man, to me, the wealthiest man in Toronto wasn't he Jamaican? Michael Lee Chin. At the time when I was at school, it was a big thing. He was like a Chinese Jamaican,
Yes.
black Chinese Jamaican guy. So they really do. I mean, they make their mark where they go, so they have a lot to be
Yeah.
proud of. But just because we have not doesn't mean that we should be any less proud, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just because we
Correct.
don't have Olympians. I mean,
Yeah.
we can still be proud of just us for freaking existing,
Yeah.
Gasso.
No, but what's interesting in terms of how your friend said you've insulted my whole island. So, I mean, I would have had a follow-up question. Well, do you like ackee and saltfish?
Mhm.
Or do you like, there's like a lot of other Jamaican dishes that are
Yeah.
also quintessentially Jamaican. And like, okay, if you don't like jerky, maybe you like something else of
Yeah.
ours.
Mhm.
But to
Exactly.
me, this kind of showing like her lack of knowledge as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
even like you don't like sorrel. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Even if in the cuisine of your own country where you're from, there's always a few things. I like dasheen. You know, people sometimes want to vilify me for that, but I don't like dasheen, Gasso.
I don't like black pudding.
Well, you wrong
me
for
neither.
that.
Me neither. It's okay,
You
Johnny.
guys,
We're in this together. It's
y'all
okay.
not making any sense. Y'all don't know what's good for you. I just insulted my whole island, by the way.
We don't know what's good for us.
We don't know what's
Black
good for you.
pudding.
Black pudding is
Stuffed
just-
pig intestines. We don't know what's
that
good
make you
for us.
strong. It's full of iron, okay, and potassium and other things that you get from like liver and kidney and this. You like roast kidney?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Fiona.
You don't like it?
How could you not like roast?
I like roast
Kidney, liver, them things.
Not even the roast kidney in the
When
ignorant lady
I
in Roselle?
don't like it.
You know that ignorant lady in
Yes, I
Roselle?
know.
Even hers you don't like?
No.
Anyway, this is
I
all
love
for
that-
today.
I
Thank
love
you.
that.
Podcast is
Podcast done.
done. Yeah.
She's-
But anyway, that just goes to show that you're still not going to like everything in your own island. So don't come and expect me to like everything,
Yeah.
all the cuisine in yours. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
Just because you're from the Caribbean.
But pudding is life. And roast kidney. Yeah.
I like how she looks straight to the camera.
Except the camera wasn't on me though. It missed that.
No,
Yeah.
the
Well,
white
we have
one.
we
Oh,
have
it
more
have
than
two.
one.
Yes,
Yeah.
pudding is life.
Yes.
And roast kidney. The roast kidney from the lady in Grosile does get vexed when you come and buy roast kidney from her in particular. That's what. Yes.
Um,
Have we talked about anything you wanted us to talk about though?
I honestly kept it very loose because I knew that it would
It would
go,
have
It'll go
so this way-
everywhere.
That's true. That's
it
true.
would go
yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honest, I don't know where else to take it.
Okay.
Because I feel thoroughly satisfied with
All right.
Aw.
our
Yeah.
conversation. I knew it would be a wonderful one. I have one more question for both of you. I already know what you're going to say because, well, Fiona is self-explanatory and Taribba actually mentioned it during the podcast. What I try to ask my guests at the end of the podcast, seeing that most of them are people who have migrated to somewhere else to live, is where do you consider home to
Oh,
be?
hey.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's nice to move back and fall back in love with home
Yeah.
as well. And like a lot of the things like being back home now, it's been like now 4 months. I'm like, oh guys, I'm not rushing to go back. I don't have to go and see
You don't
and
have to do it
everything.
tomorrow. I
Yeah.
can take my time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
I
do the
think
thing next week.
Taking the time and like the pace and like all of the things that people fool in my head with about, boy, you showing myself, you showing not going to be bored. Not a single day has passed. I've
No.
ever been bored.
You can't get bored here. I don't
And
care what anybody says.
No,
Yeah.
you can't. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
And if it is that you want big city life and go to the theater and all these things, well then guys, don't move back. I am quite content going to the food truck, seeing somebody, and then it turned into something
Yeah.
or nothing at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be a big something.
Yeah.
Doesn't always have to be a big something. I was
Yeah.
quite content going into town today, going by the market, having some conversations with people in the market, and then buying a thing from Liberty and coming back. And I was very content.
I
with
also
that.
thoroughly enjoy walking through Castries. People think I'm crazy, But I don't know if because I spend so much time in town and my shop is still in town.
Mm.
But even before I opened my shop in town, I still remember when I used to come home for university, I always wanted to go to the craft market and walk around town.
So many nice things, guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
And
much
just to
stuff.
see people and you just, the lady, like, I don't know. I just feel like I must always factor in going into town and walking through town. People who I know who work in town, I go check them in their office.
Mm-hmm.
I went and checked Jack that makes the wire jewelry
Mm.
outside the square to say hello. You know, I just like to this pass. Who else I went and see? I just went and people know me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess because I was always in town because of my shops. I work in town. I get in heckled, bag specialist. You know, it's nice for me. I get that it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, but just like Fiona said, I did not move for any other reason, but you know, my family had to move following my husband with his job. I did not get bored here. The issues I have with Saint Lucia is like a lot of the bureaucracy and the
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
are the things that really frustrate me. But
Yeah.
in terms of my day to day, but you know, when I was living home, you know, we
Girl,
were
you was always doing
out.
things, eh?
That's why it was
Yeah.
an exhausting life.
Ask
Like,
us what we were doing. We
That's-
can't tell you up, but we're
Why?
just doing stuff. We're
that's
just
probably
doing
why
stuff.
in Virginia I'm sleeping so much because I have all of this accumulation of fatigue, of photo shoot. We were just doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
really have to be proactive about your fun. St. Lucia is not a place where you could wake up and like go on like this is what I do in Virginia. Like wake up and I go on like Fairfax County page to see what activities are happening. No.
It's
No,
very
You have-
planned. You
no.
have
You
to
have to-
plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to think about the weather
The
and the climate and all
weather,
that kind of
all
stuff.
of that.
You
Yeah.
have to find out if you're going with anybody else, you have to
Mhm.
tell them weeks, days in
In
advance.
advance, yes.
Because people have their plans and how
Plans,
you get in
mhm.
there and all that. Everything's so far away, so it's a whole day kind of activity.
You know what I
You
like
know?
about home? It's like you could go to a random bar or somewhere to check one friend,
Mhm.
and then you see someone you haven't seen for 5
5
years,
Yeah.
and sit down and have the best
Best
conversation with them.
Yeah.
And it's like catching up and just so much stuff. And
Yeah.
then it's like you don't get that when you
And it could be
in-
anywhere.
in-
It's not this. It could
Yeah.
be the supermarket.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
could
Yes.
be. It could be anywhere you see.
Anywhere.
And for me, most times it's walking through Castries. I just see
Mhm,
somebody,
mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and I just stop. And I do like that. I mean, my kids went to. In retrospect, I took my kids places probably I should not have. I still remember hiking through a waterfall. Mahogany was on Oma's shoulders,
Mhm.
walking through because she couldn't even walk. Oh, everybody had to carry a child. So Oma
Mhm.
carried one, Ricky carried the other.
Mhm.
How much slipping and falling? Like anybody could have just you
Yeah,
know,
but
and
that's-
we did it. Like it's, you know, and it's not only all of these like, okay, so we went into a deep waterfall. A simple thing. You spoke about like I used to go to Hazel's. You spoke about the time when you were the food truck with the drinks.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday there was a place I used to take my kids to go and eat pork on a
Mhm,
Tuesday.
mhm.
And then it reached a point where other people will come in and bring their kids too. Then there's a whole squadron of children, and I'm playing red light, green light, 1, 2, 3 on a Tuesday night at 7:30. Children should be in their bed to go to school. No, my children
Yeah,
outside with
yeah,
linemen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's
Yeah.
one of the things my kids said. My daughter in particular said she wanted to do when she came. Unfortunately, we don't have the time
Yeah.
to go and have pork at this place.
Mm.
You
So
know?
see, she remembered it.
She
Yeah.
remembered it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
that's you know because we do live a very privileged life in the U.S. We absolutely do, and I sometimes I have to look at them and I say, don't be snobbish. You know, this is not a permanent lifestyle for us. We're on a temporary work visa. Start off with that. You know, but also remember where you come from, and you need to be able to move back and forth
Between the
between the
two.
two spheres, right?
Mhm.
So you need to be able to have fun going, I don't know, what's the thing? Indoor trampoline park, fancy American fun, as well as, you know, sitting on the beach in the sand, eating a box of KFC, and we have our cooler and we having our fun, you know, which so far it has been good. I'm happy with how my children are in this vacation. They are really enjoying themselves. I feel like when we came back the first time after we moved, they did not enjoy themselves as much. But I needed to understand that it's a transition for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way they remember things is not exactly how it was. And also things change. My parents had aged. So
Yep.
things were a little off for them.
But you have to also know the non-romantic side of Saint Lucia too,
Exactly.
right? So
exactly.
because a lot of people come, they move here or they come for vacation, or those who saw them move back and who have not spent enough time at home,
Mhm.
and then they just like become very like, yo, this is not the romantic story that I thought it was going to be. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
And like, yo, mango, you're not getting mango every day of the year when you get in America. No,
Yes.
mango season is from this time to this time.
this time.
If they don't have, they don't have. When
Yeah.
they say if in Saint Lucia they say they
Yes.
don't have, they don't have,
They
and
don't
that's a
have.
full stop. That's
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all of those different things. So it's good for them to know
When we came, we didn't
The
have
harder parts.
they had to take a bucket bath the day we came. That was good for
Oh, yeah,
them.
because there was the
Yeah, we had to take a bucket bath the day we came because no, we always have water, but something was wrong in the pipe
Yes,
that day.
okay.
And I'm like, this is it. I know y'all used to your big water pressure in the US. You're taking a bucket bath
Yeah,
today. But
yeah.
also in the same breath, I know part of it is me romanticizing Saint Lucia because when they're in the US, I always talk to them about the hard side of living in the US, of the racism, of any of the things that happen with cops. I tell them as young as even mahogany is, I let them know. I don't do that about Saint Lucia. So it's beach and fun and party. So maybe part of it is me trying to remind them that in St. Lucia, not all the time we're gonna have running water. Sometimes you're gonna have to, you know.
Yeah,
But
the other day we didn't have water, and I was glad Jura had to experience that.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that you can see the benefit in having that experience of living in different places and being able not to just hear the romantic parts of where you're from and that kind of thing, but also having the experience of living in both of these worlds.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I will hype up Saint Lucia until the day I die. And I'll speak about all the good things. But yeah, like life isn't perfect anywhere.
Anyway,
You know?
Correct.
And I think
listen, every country is one natural disaster away from being like a St. Lucia, if
Yeah.
no water and thing like that.
Yeah.
Not like
Yes.
these things will happen in the US with one little hurricane and stuff like that, and people don't know what to do because they don't have coal pot and coals
Yeah.
as backup to cook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to be mindful.
So-
The world is changing.
Yeah, so we need to be grateful
Mhm.
for, and also be conscious
Mm-hmm.
of the benefits of where we are and where we came from. But I think right
The
now we're
benefit
losing
and recognizing it is a privilege.
and recognizing
This
it
is
as
a privilege.
Oh, we are
Huge
very
privilege.
privileged.
Yeah.
We
Very,
don't
very
we don't think of
privileged.
it in this
I do.
mindset, but it is a privilege.
I do.
And not only because of the weather and the beach, not only because we live where you vacation.
No,
It is
because we
just
could hold ourselves, Gassa.
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
a privilege.
But
100%.
I unfortunately we are losing lights.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And I
And-
black, I so dark, yeah.
and
Y'all can glow.
uh,
feeling.
Maybe that's what the Guatemalans were trying to tell you.
Maybe all this entire time. It's true. It's true.
And that's their conscience running away.
Oh my God.
It's kind of
Very-
witty, you know.
Yeah.
I know it's witty, but
It's witty. Maybe
but
that's why I wasn't vexed, 'cause in my head I probably chuckled. I'm like,
Yeah.
because it wasn't like you're saying only nigga or whatever.
yeah. But maybe
Sorry.
they don't have the equivalent
Yeah.
word. But I mean,
Yeah, because they used to a time I was walking in Venice when it's like negra bags.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's just because so and so is blanca, so and so is
They
morena.
lie. They know well
and so
how
and
they're
so-
saying it. But I'll tell you on the flip side, I went to Nicaragua and I was a superstar. Absolute superstar.
Oh yeah.
Oh, listen, I went to a conference and then when they sent the pictures that the photographer took of all of us at the conference, it was all pictures of me. Walking down the street, everybody, Morenaza, Morena Bella. I in the
Really?
line for food. They coming all in the back. Morena, ¿qué quieres? Like everybody was like, they were just completely infatuated, completely enamored with me. It was a whole different thing. Yeah.
But you're nice.
Well, yes.
Yes.
You know what? And Guatemala was pre-braces, so maybe I was just like Meg and my teeth was like crooked. And
The
But
glow up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you both for joining me. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for having us.
Even better than I could have ever imagined.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, and it's always nice to have these conversations instead of all the shit we talking in our group chat every day. But to have an actual serious, productive conversation.
We have several serious,
about-
productive conversations in
do.
the group chat.
We do.
Yes.
But this is one that we can put on.
Yes.
Would you
on-
like to give
online.
the origins of the group chat? How it started?
No,
Oh my God,
no.
We're not
No,
going to do
not
that.
going to do
That's
that.
not what we're going to do.
I'll condense it.
Oh my God.
In a nutshell, I had a man, and he said my man was yak. So we started the group chat.
Oh my Lord. And the group chat was
Called
called Nyaga. Oh my God. Okay.
And every now and then we'd send pictures.
Yes.
Of him.
Of
Yeah.
him. Just
Zoomed-
gentle reminder.
Zoomed in.
Gentle reminder.
How
But we have a
yucky
new
was.
name now, eh? Roach survival, yes.
group.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
should bring it back to Nyaga.
I think
Yeah.
so. I have not seen a roach in my house since I came here. So that's a
Congratulations.
fantastic thing. That's a
Um,
big deal for my house. So.
But
Happy
yeah,
about that.
I want to say thank you to you both. It was lovely having you on the podcast.
It was
I want to say thank you to James for
yes.
James Wavemaker.
James
I
enjoyed it.
I want James to come and do his English accent on a mic here.
Yes, I think so. Come. Yay.
Ray.
Hello, hello, hello.
Too good.
But thank you, James, so much for offering your assistance with the camera work. I really appreciate it.
Well, if you can't see, you follow us for me.
Exactly.
Let me just log off and see myself out there.
All
right.
But yeah, everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far,
Did you just spoil it?
but you see why I can't take them seriously. If you have watched this far, thank you so much. It has been wonderful speaking with you and speaking to you, our audience, and we shall see you next time on the Not Your Culture podcast. Bye.
Bye.